Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you are listening to High School Hoops with our hosts, Steve Collins and Jake Steger.
All right, welcome to High School Hoops. The end of January, Martin Luther King week. So hopefully everyone was able to celebrate that. Great man, changed the world. You can all change the world too, is what I'm going to tell you for all the youngsters. Because I know some of my players listen to High School Hoops. If you can believe that, it's crazy. Sometimes they'll quote me back. So especially you, Junior. I know you're listening. My point guard, I know, listens. Anyway, so hopefully you had a good week. Hopefully finals are going well. Anyway, so before we jump into this one, this is going to be my baby, because we're going to talk about statistics. Before we do that, big shout out to, first of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shooting machine on the market. The reason I like it is all the workouts are on your iPad. Literally the technology. If you know anything about kids, and when they're naughty and you take their phone away and you think that they feel like you cut their right arm off, it's the exact same thing. With this, they can use the iPad, their phone, whatever, to track their makes and misses, to get workouts. It's great. Trust me, I don't even know how to work all of it. So go over and check that out. Great people, Midwest people, hardy people that live in the Midwest in the winter in January. Mention High School Hoops or Coach Unplugged, and they'll give you $350 off your next purchase. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Nothing else, I can take my wife out to dinner. That would be nice. If I'd like to go above Panera. So come join. You'll get a mentor. Anything that you've experienced, I was talking to one of my assistant coaches. Anything that a coach has experienced that's listened to this, I've experienced. I'm telling you right now. I've done it. I mean, you name it. It's happened to me probably at some point in my career. So I can help you. All right. What's this week's
when I looked at this question, I really want to centralize it too, because it's a big topic. Looking at statistics within your team and using it to better your season. So we're not looking at opponent statistics. We are looking at our team's statistics. So we're not looking at the other person's statistics.
Right. So
because we could literally probably do 4 or 5 podcasts just on statistics. And
I think that would be a great summer one.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't you think that we could
Absolutely.
break down some specific things?
Yes.
Because in the off season, it'd be, let's go back and look at your season. Let's go back and look at, we could look at one of mine. We could just grab a season. I don't care. I could change the names. So let's talk about statistics. So
what statistics do you look at, Coach?
Okay, so let me explain what statistics is. It's collecting, organizing, analyzing, and interpreting data. I've taught statistics for 20 plus years, the high school level. 25 years probably. Anyway, so collecting. A lot of you probably have crossover or huddle. Collect, organize. They do a really good job of organizing, analyzing it. So they put it in all these categories, and then interpreting. The hardest part, and the kids that take AP statistics, the hardest part is the last two, okay? Collect and organize is easy. Analyze and interpret are the hard parts. So you can't look at a statistic in a single, there's all sorts of statistics that you will be given. You can't look at them as a singular thing, okay? because one statistic has strengths and weaknesses. It has advantages and disadvantages. So an example would be if I gave you a list of 10 numbers, 1, a billion, and then you took the average of those 10 numbers, that number doesn't really describe the list, right? There were 9 ones and a billion. So you have to look at statistics not only individually, you have to look at them as a whole. And that's a hard thing to do because, you know, you look at, oh, God, this kid's effective field goal percentage is 55%, but his turnover percentage is 39%. So there's this cost benefit that you have to look at. There are some generic kind of categories that will give you, you know, like the value point system and all these other things that will plus minus systems where kids are plus minus depending on whether they're on the court. Mm-hmm. They're all great. What I look for is outliers. I look for things that are not normal, and then I ask why. And we were talking before we came on about this one, that my son's turnover percentage is really low. And why is it really low at this point? Part of it is because he lives in my house. I hate turnovers. Part of it is kind of it's a cost benefit for him. You know, am I going to attack the rim or am I going to get rid of it, kind of thing. So that's where you got to look at, you know, is the plus minus. One statistic I've started to look at is combinations of players on the courts together.
Interesting.
Where, you know, if you have one of the, you know, crossover or huddle or things, they'll look at groupings of 5 kids, and, you know, there's got to be a cutoff of like how many minutes they've been on the court together. But I'm looking for combinations of groups that do well together, because, you know, this kid might shoot really well, rebound really well, but he doesn't play really well with his 4 other teammates. So that's one of the statistics that you know, obviously assist to turnover ratio is a big one for me. You know, I effective field goal percentage is important because I think, you know, we used to only look at field goal percentage, but I think the effective field goal percentage takes that 3-pointer, which is such an integral part of our game now. So those are big ones for me. You know, obviously I'm looking at, you know, who's rebounding, who's doing it, who's, you know, shot selection, all those kind of things don't necessarily show up on a stats sheet. You know, minutes played, all those kind of things. What do you look at?
I'm going to talk about just some simple things for coaches, starting to look at statistics. I think one thing you look at is free throws. Are you getting to the line? Key statistic. I look at the amount of defensive rebound percentages that I'm getting compared to the offensive percentages that the other opponent is getting. I think is huge. The other one that let me see here. I said assist turnovers, combination of groups. The other thing that I wrote down too just before is that there is that cost and effective what you do and what you are as a team as an identity. You know, your turnovers might be really high, but if you're running high-paced basketball and you're running and gunning and you're willing to take over some turnovers, then you have to be willing to – you need to know what statistics are and what the cause and effect of each is. I agree with that 110% in that as well.
Right, and it's like when my point guard has 5 turnovers and then my center has 5 turnovers, they're in a different category, but they're really not in a different category. Does that make sense?
Right, and then the other thing is that – are your statistics, what you're looking at, is it based on what you're going to do to win games? So one year I had a team that wasn't a very good shooting team, and so we really focused on getting the ball inside.
Right.
And we were looking at the shot chart. Are we getting those high percentage shots? And I would constantly show my kids, man, we're 50% here all the time. Then why are we taking all these shots on the outside that are 15 to 20%? I mean, the cause and effect or the cost ratio of what is good for that team that year. So your statistics are going to be constantly changing built based on what your team is as well. I think it's a good point when looking at statistics.
Right. I mean, and the thing is, I think it goes back to what I said. It's like, you know, I think there are some key ones, like, you know, and again, I like to look at them as a whole, but I also like to look at them, you know, it depends, you know, maybe the kid's coming off an injury. So they're all good. I think the problem is it's the law of large numbers too. You know, if you're only 4 games in, it's going to be different than if you're 14 games in. You know, kid can go 5 for 5 from 3 and then go, 0 for 22 kind of thing. So it's like you got to get enough of a data set to be able to make some conclusions about this kid can shoot, this kid can't shoot. Or this kid turns the ball over, or this kid dribbles too much, those kind of things. It's almost we have too much noise now, in my opinion, as the stats teacher. It's almost like we're giving a loaded gun to all these coaches, because luckily I'm a stats teacher. I kind of know how the numbers work and how you can kind of manipulate them and how they work. I could convince you my 10th man should be playing more. I could. I mean, if you gave me enough time, I could convince you my 7th man should start and get 6 more shots. If you give me enough time, I'll give you the stats to show you. So there's power in numbers. The problem is we're giving loaded guns to people that don't know how to use the numbers.
I agree too, but I think sometimes team statistics are even more important, like looking at efficiency.
The combination. So the groups of kids.
So like efficiencies of defenses, right? So if you're getting your butt kicked every time you're running a 2-3 zone and you're tracking that, I think that's very beneficial as you move forward with practice. Or that you have, like when I was an assistant, one of my jobs was when the head coach would call a set, I would track if we scored or didn't score. Well, if we run that set all year and we're not scoring on it, then why do we continue to do that?
Right.
So I think that some of those team statistics and efficiencies, I think efficiency stuff is huge when it comes to statistics, because that really helps you plan your next couple days in practice and what you can do and move forward with your team.
Yep, and if something's not working, I'll tell you right now, we tanked the zone we were doing early in the season because statistically it was doing horrible. Wasn't working. Don't know if the boys didn't believe in it, blah, blah, blah. We got rid of it. It's gone.
Which is fine. That's good practice.
Right. I think that's a good thing. I agree. Anything else?
No.
Okay. We got a question this week?
I don't have a question right now.
You don't have one? I caught him off guard. I get to ask the question then. How does it feel taking a year off and getting off of winter break? From someone that's closer to the end of his career than the beginning of his career, how does it feel?
Feels really different.
Okay.
It feels it's like I find myself being very stir crazy because you're so on the go for so many years of being a high school coach or college coach, and you're just going and going and going, and now you're finding yourself like, man, I think that sometimes I was more efficient when I had chaos in my life because I had to plan more. So
right. I have like my whole day today planned. I can tell you what I'm doing till like 9:30 tonight. To be honest with you,
I can tell you right now, like when school's starting, my last couple of days at home have been more effective than my whole week beforehand because I had no basketball, I had no that.
Right.
And so I don't know. I do find myself missing it. I feel there's times where you have that lull and you miss it and you go to a game, and sometimes I find myself kind of avoiding it a little bit because I think I don't want to find myself missing it right now.
Right.
So I try to avoid it sometimes, and I don't know. It's been a challenge, but it's been a good challenge. I've been able to spend more time with my family, and I think it's all about that person and what they want to do with their coaching career. I'll make the next choice when I'm ready.
Yeah, and the thing is, here's my thought too is with that is you kind of know when it's time, like me giving up the volleyball job, but also it's like you should have something. Like you had your family, you knew what you were going to, you didn't just quit or stop coaching because it was just to do it because you had like, I think sometimes these coaches do it and then they just like, they flounder. Like they don't have something. Like I'll probably be doing the podcast when I'm 92 and in, Florida, like, oh, I remember the old days. Old days we used to have,
Right,
there was no 4-point line when I used to coach.
I think my transition this year has been easy because, I'm still heavily involved with my school and helping out as a sports coordinator and helping other coaches. And
so you still got your hand in it. Like I'm never going to stop. I'll stop coaching, but I won't stop coaching. It's like one of those kind of things. It's like, I love this game. This game has given me so much. So I just wondered how it was. Like 2 weeks of like, holy crud. I try to do that during winter break. Like around Christmas, I shut down. So I've learned that over the years that I literally do nothing. Now, the coaches and I will Slack back and forth, and we'll send ideas back, but it's 10 minutes of my day. I literally try not to think about it. I try not to talk about it. I try not to, I literally have to shut it off for and I can usually do that around Christmas because we're not playing, we're not practicing.
Right.
So it's you got to come up with these little things for yourself too. But all right, good. Till next week, Coach.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.